And we drive up and down these streets on a daily basis, and we see them out there, dying, possessed, confused. And what are we doing? What are we doing? I have a testimony of a man. I'm going to finish. Don't even be worried about the time right now. Don't be worried about the time. I have a testimony. After I got saved, I was driving the church van in San Ramon. We were helping some man fix a house. He was a construction worker, and he hired a bunch of us from church, and we would drive the van, and it had the church stickers all over the van, and the garbage man comes, and he looks, and he says, "Hey, are you hiring?" I said, "I'm not the boss." I said, "Come inside. I'll give you his information." And we walked inside the house, and I'm writing the boss's phone number, his name down, and you know how you could tell somebody's staring at you? I'm writing, and all the brothers from the church are there, and I brought some guys that I used to sell drugs because I'm trying to win them to the Lord, and they're all standing there watching this whole thing play out, and I'm writing the number to the boss, and I could tell this man staring at me, and he says, "Brother, is that you?" I looked at him, I said, "Who do you think I am?" He says, "Are you that man from the other side of the mountain that stands on the side of the street screaming all night long?" And he starts to weep. He starts to weep. I said, "Yes, brother." I said, "It's me. It's me." He says, "I saw you every single day." He says, "I start my shift. I leave my house at 3 o'clock in the morning, a.m., and I drive down the freeway." He says, "And I would see you standing under the street light, pouring rain, soaking wet, and you're screaming, and there's nobody there." He says, "I go to work in San Ramon. I do my 8-hour shift, and I come home, you're still standing under that same street light, you're still screaming, they're still wet, there's nobody there. I go home, the next day I do the same thing, at 3 o'clock in the morning, there you are, still screaming, still wet, still under that street light." He says, "And every day the Lord would tell me, get out of your car, wrap your arms around that man, and tell him how much I love him." And this brother's sharing me this testimony, he's sharing this story with me, and now he's weeping. He's weeping. And he says, "Brother," he says, "and one day," he says, "I was so burdened. I parked my car and I followed you for 2 blocks. He says, I was afraid. I was nervous to say anything to you." He says, "You looked like you were possessed. You looked like a monster." He goes, "But I followed you. I was burdened." He says, "I said, 'Hey.' And you turned and looked at me." He says, "When you looked at me," he said, "I saw the devil looking at me through your eyes." He goes, "And I ran back to my car and I cried." I said, "God, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it." And now he's just weeping, completely broken. And I embraced him. I said, "Brother, you don't have to cry no more. Because what you weren't willing to do, somebody else did." Can you imagine all the opportunities you're missing to tell somebody that God loves them? 18 years I was ripping out my hair. 18 years I was dragging my face on the side of the street, ripping my clothes off, covered in urine and feces. How many pastors drove past me? How many worship leaders drove past me? How many believers in 18 years drove right past me? Watching me die, watching me be tormented. In their eyes, this demon was bigger than the God that they served. A woman told me, she goes, "Brother, I saw you out there for all those years, and I used to pray, God, put him out of his misery." I said, "I don't know that God. I don't know that God. The God I know was able to pick me up, not put me down." And every day, people are out there dying. They're out there dying. All I wanted somebody to tell me was that God loved me. All I wanted to hear was somebody loved me. That's all I wanted. That's all I needed. Somebody tell me that God loves me. Tell me that I could be lovable. Why am I not loved? What's wrong with me? That's all I wanted was somebody to tell me he loves me. My whole life I was told God hated me. God hated me because I was a drug addict. God hated me because I was homosexual. God hated me because I was homeless. God hated me for all these reasons. I said, I don't need nobody else to tell me God hates me. I need somebody to tell me he loves me. I need somebody to tell me he loves me.